Hello everyone and welcome to my channel Tarot with AnneMarie. Today we're venturing into the realm of the tarot cards yet again, specifically one of the most intriguing and most misunderstood cards, the Devil. It's the weather forecast. What's the outlook like? Oh, it looks like, oh, you might need to take an umbrella. You might need to actually plan to be in a place where you're not near the lightning and the thunder, where you say, I'll go shopping tomorrow instead of today because the weather's not good. Devil card is like, look, this is the weather forecast. You've got to break free from these limitations and these destructive patterns. You can get your personal power back and you can find your inner strength. It's not a prediction that, oh my gosh, you are completely restricted, you are completely in a place of not being able to do anything but be a victim. Not at all. It's about realigning your focus and connecting back to your spiritual growth. But we are humans. And so therefore understanding our true needs as opposed to just fleeting desires. So don't think of this card as bad luck. It's more about being aware, like I said, with the weather. This card challenges to examine what truly holds the power over us. It can be external circumstances or our own internal attachment. It's got quite a lot going on, hasn't it, this card? This card shows the devil, as we know, being represented as a figure of Baphomet. And along with this, we've got him appearing as half goat and half man. The devil's got bat wings, hasn't he? So he's got the inverted pentagram on his forehead and he's sitting on a pedestal. And that pedestal is a very funny shape. We'll talk about that in a minute. And in front of him is this nude man and woman, as if to show that he's got domination over them. All right? And if we look, both the man and woman have now got horns. Now, in the Lovers card, when these two turned up as Adam and Eve, they didn't have horns. And that kind of represents that the more time we spend with the devil, the less human we become. So it's all about symbology. Now, the chains are made to appear as though the devil has got them captive and in a place of bondage. And that man's got a flame on his tail, whereas the woman, if you look, she's got grapes on her tail. And that symbolizes their addiction to power and finer things in life. So if we look closely at both the man and the woman, they don't really look very happy. Their individual power's been taken away. And leaving behind them, they are feeling exposed and ashamed of their nakedness. Normally, when we see nakedness, it's innocence, like in The Lovers. I've got nothing to hide, complete transparency. But here, they are feeling shame. If we get the devil card in our reading, it suggests that we feel trapped, or an emptiness, or a lack of fulfillment in something. Or it could just mean that we feel slave to materialism, and no matter how much we try, we can't seem to shake off that feeling of wanting to indulge in material life. We're feeling earthbound. You might be aware that your lifestyle is leading you down a rabbit hole as such, but you feel that any form of control is not in your hands. So that's what we mean when we say it's like a bondage. We're feeling, oh gosh, what can I do? I must give up. There can be addictions to substances or material pleasures. As I said, I used to be a fan of Diet Coke, and it wasn't good for me to drink 2 litres every day through the night. It wasn't through the day, it was through the night. There you go. Not a good thing. But it had a hold on me. I was convinced that's what I needed. So there's an example. Please do not think when you see this, somebody is addicted to the negatives, the obvious ones, alcohol, etc. You've got to look at this and go, well, hang on a minute, I'm not like that. So why would I actually Think about that as in, it's the first thing that comes into a reading for someone I'm reading for. And so these material pleasures can be the reason for feeling powerless and entrapment. And we might feel like we're some sort of slave and we cannot control our impulses or our willpower. And it's usually something to do with ourselves and something of dissatisfaction that's going on within ourselves. So when the devil comes up, and it depends on how to pair it together, we've got to feed that in with a minor card, which Tuesday, well, in good time. We mustn't get ahead of ourselves. If it was a love reading, this could be about lust and temptation and someone that's selfish. They want what they want. And it can just simply mean that this person just wants to have a good time. Life's earthly pleasures. Don't be so hard, as in, if we look at people now, today, and I know there's a lot that's not right out there in the world, but generally, not everyone's walking around and doing what the textbook versions would have us think, because it's limited what they can write. It is limited. But there's nothing wrong with having a bit of fun. So the devil is also a card fun. But you've got to make sure that you're not hurting yourself or others, or giving the wrong impression while you're doing it. And, you know, if you are somebody that's just looking to be a free agent, maybe you need to communicate that to your date, if that's what it's about in matters of love. And don't feel that you're putting too much pressure on other people, making them feel emotional bondage to you. If this comes up in a reading, it's usually to do with, if that's how you feel, just be straight up about it. Be gentle, be kind, but communicate. Why does he come along after Temperance when everything was in balance and all the rest of it? This guy that's sitting there on his perch, half beast, half man, with a horned goat's head and that pentagram, which is inverted. Let's talk about the pentagram. When it's upright, this one is not. A pentagram should actually have that 5-pointed star, as in opposite of what we're seeing. And that pentagram would normally represent the 5 points, and that's up of the body, which is the head, the arms, and the legs, and the 4 elements, and the 5th element being spirit. So when the pentagram's upright correctly, it suggests that the body's in balance and connected with spirit. When the pentagram is inverted, as we see with the devil card, the connection with the spirit is lost. And that's when our animalistic nature and passions can take control. So in front of the devil, this man and woman from the Lover's card, they're wearing very loose chains around their necks, and it's binding them together. So the presence of the horns on their heads suggests that they've lost the innocence of they once had when they were the lovers, because the devil's holding a torch. And look, he's igniting, if you look, that man's animalistic nature. That torch is pointing down to his tail. So the devil is representing control, illusion, deception, and materialism. And the devil leads us to believe that we've got no choice in life, that we're stuck. There's a saying, isn't there? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And that's when we go, oh, I can't, I don't want to make any changes. They wear these chains really loosely, but they believe that the devil is trapping them. Remember I said the devil is an aspect of ourselves. It's us that's doing that. We're the ones that's putting pressure on ourselves. You can only be controlled if you allow yourself to be controlled. And blaming others for their predicament and the fear that they're going to have to give up what they have. Oh, I don't want to do that. It means I won't have my fun, I won't have my money, I won't have my this, I won't have my holidays. I'm a slave to this. So when it comes up in a reading, the actual meaning of this card is you've got to look at, is life controlling you, or you need to control your own life and not try to control others or yourself in such a harsh way. It just might be that there's an overly concern on the material side of life. So we might feel trapped and powerless to change our situations or even free ourselves. And we might have given our power away to someone else, sticking with a job that we're just not happy in. Okay? I'm going to put some keywords on for you, and then I'm going to come back to this. So let's just have a little bit of a look at this, and then I'll be back and we'll carry on. Devil's numbered 15 and can be one of those scary fun cards that people say, huh? I just want to leave it out. I don't want to look it up. But the one, number 15, 1 and 5. So the number 1 is a number for desire of achievement. And it connects us to drive, power. And 5 connects us to our mental self, conflict. So when we've got 1 and 5, and we know that if we add them together, it makes 6, and we arrive at 6. The number of the Lover's card again. So, number of the Lover's card was all about, if you remember what that card meant, attraction, choice, and adapting to life and its circumstances and having choices. But the number 15 as a whole will give us strength and attraction. But sometimes 15 is a number reduces our ability to recognize the truth, as it were, and it signals a lack of groundedness. We can be carried away, as in, and in this case, it's usually to do with material things. So the card's got the black background, and it shows the image of the devil perched above that man and woman. And the colour shows the dark side of the personality. That's what the black is symbolic of. Unlike our spiritual substance, we are spiritual beings, but we live in human bodies. And so we're subject to physical desires and needs throughout our life, aren't we? So we're in a constant battle between our higher spiritual and our physical self. So the devil is within us. It's not separate. This is what I was saying earlier on. It's not an outside force. So being scared and saying it's someone else, no, it's us. And if it comes up in, we're talking about in different positions in a spread, and it is about the influences of others, then you've got to take control back for yourself and go, actually, I don't want to be in a place of emotional bondage to anyone. So the devil represents our instincts and our impulses and our physical self, and our spiritual self seek to try and understand, but the physical self is trying to control. And so we've got to actually try and get a balance so that we are in a place of accepting, of being able to get knowledge and enlightenment. The devil is not a positive spiritual energy, but it's a practical force. And that is where we get the emphasis on materialism. Do you see what I mean? It's not a spiritual need, but it's rather a practical thing. We are in a place of going, hold on a minute, I have got to pay my bills. I'm a slave to what I've got to do. I'm not happy about it and I want to blame other people. They'll probably let you go if you don't want to do it. Oh, but I've got to. Perhaps if you weren't so decadent in certain areas, the more you earn, the more you spend. The devil is taking on the form in this card, as I said, of Baphomet. And Baphomet has the torso and eyes and arms of a man, and the wings of a bat, and the head and the legs of a male goat. This symbolizes the idea of rational thinking man who's joined in being corrupted by our animal instincts and driven by our base instincts. Incidentally, goats are often associated with the devil, while sheep are seen as peaceful followers of Christ. So goats are much more independent and temperamental, and they're guided by instinct rather than obedience. So that's where the symbology of that comes in. The bat's wings. Bats are usually associated with darkness and death in lots of different cultures. And Baphomet's wings are spread out, allowing him to show that he's dominating that space, trying to intimidate the two below him. Now, if we look at the fact that he is sitting on that pedestal, I want you to see that there's a little ring there with the chains, okay? But the chains are around their neck, and if you look, they're very loose. These two could take them off if they want to, and that's the whole idea. And it doesn't appear that there's any padlocks or keys or anything like that in this card. This image is giving us the deterioration of our human physical side, neglecting our spiritual side. The top of the star representing the head symbolizes spiritual and rational mind. And because it's flipped, as I said, this is triumph over matter, and now it's destroying all the positive energies. So that's why it's inverted. It's symbolic that no chance. You're not having protection. That's its symbolic meaning. It's reversed. This card represents the mental aspects of the devil. So it signifies how our thoughts can drive our desires and how our actions can be viewed through a very distorted lens of our own making. Although the devil's hands are positioned a bit like, do you remember the magician? I can't stand up and do it for you, I'm sorry. You'll be able to see me, as in, my camera won't pick it up. I'm not set far back enough, but you've got my drift. It's the same pose. But with the magician, he was bringing down from heaven to earth to actually bring everything together because he's got all the tools and he's actually using that to harness something very positive. In this case, it's not that at all. This is almost like he's bringing down creative energy, but it's coarse and it's a base energy that's only satisfying his needs. So it's, you know what, this is about me. I'm doing this. I'm looking after number one. Look at his right hand. We've seen this in another card. So look at his right hand. Anyone can tell me where we have seen this blessing. This comes from Jewish blessing, which is a blessing that's served and performed with both hands. Now, we get that in another major arcana card. In this image of the devil in our tarot card, he's doing it with one hand, and this is normally a blessing that's given with both. So the gesture of the one hand is, it's normally a benediction, it's normally a blessing and all of that. But because he's doing it with one hand, it can be seen as mockery. And so the devil's representing dualities, including light and dark. And it's really significant that it is dark and light. It's not just darkness. And that single raised hand could be distorted and inverting the blessing and reflecting the card's theme of distortion and deception. So it could be twisted or disrespectful. Rather than that traditional blessing, it can imply manipulation or corruption of sacred symbols for sinister purposes. Remember, it's all symbology. It's not about forecasting. It's like a blueprint of what's going on. A weather forecast, that's what a tarot reading really is. Now, he is presenting this blessing as an image of, oh, trust me. But if you look at his open palm, there's an image of a cross, and that's to lure people in, to give them false hope, for those that need reassurance. It's his left hand of logic and action that holds down the torch that's setting fire to this fellow's tail. And that's symbolic of a torch's illumination, it lights the way. Putting it down is the opposite. 1 minute, passionate, Sagittarius. Well done. You say you're guessing. You're right. You are absolutely right. Well done, my darling. It is the Hierophant that gives that sign of the blessing. It's in another card too. I won't spoil that for you. If somebody knows what it is, please do type it in. It lets me know what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you know and where you are in your journey with all of this. The Devil's sitting on a rectangular block, which is not a square, all right? And a square is even, isn't it? But if we look, this is a pedestal that's not even, it's rectangular. So this is uneven sides, which is saying it lacks balance. That's the reason for that. And this supports the idea that the situation is unstable. If it was a square, we'd go, well, is symbolic of a sense of security and equal sides and firm boundaries. And the patch is also representing imprisonment rather than security. And the anchorage with chains is actually saying that we feel that we are enslaved in chains. It's like having a prison. And that is why we say it's we're imprisoned or we are in a place of bondage. But the chains are loose. And they are thought to be put there. There is a school of thought that we have put ourselves there by our own circumstances, our own situation, our own values, and our own limitations. Really, it's all about us, isn't it? So this represents a narrow set of beliefs that are distorted in our sense of reasoning. And it leads to us having personal limitations. And that's because we do it mentally or we do it emotionally. And the nakedness of this pair reveals the innocence and desire that causes them to trap themselves and seek to satisfy their needs. So the two individuals have got orange hair, which is symbolic and indicates an impulse and an energetic nature. And the man appears to be reaching to the woman, inviting her to join him in his fantasy. And she gazes at him with her arms, suggesting that there's an openness to her. But that openness is also the darkness in her. So the woman's tale of grapes shows her desire and greed for abundance, wealth, and prosperity. And the grapes show a much more materialistic gain rather than the man's sexual and physical gratifying ones. She desires comfort, luxury, indulgence, and all the material things that can be gained, given, or even taken. Remember, we said the chains are loose enough and can be lifted or removed if the individuals that are enslaved or in captivity choose to do. But the devil makes us believe, of course, that we lack the power to make those positive changes or even recognize our problems. We can then feel powerless and discouraged. And then we go, I'll stay where I am, better the devil I know, and I won't attempt to escape. Because they feel that there's nothing in the escape that would actually lead to a different situation. They feel trapped, that it would be futile. And sometimes as people, as humans, we become accustomed to our circumstances that are unfavourable, and we start to view them as acceptable, which can cause us to be less sensitive to things that are negative. That's really the point. A lot of this in this symbolism of the devil is our psychological or our emotional conditioning that comes from the materialism in our physical world. And it can make us feel fearful of letting go of strong attachments. I don't want to let go of my job. I don't want to let go of my friend. I don't want to let go of the fact that my job, even though I hate it, we feel powerless. We feel excluded. And the horns on our figures, as in our man and woman, really indicate that they've taken on the guise of their master and that really they're just going with the flow. But although the devil is a destructive sort of energy, practical energy, we accept her because humans adapt, don't they? Oh, yeah. And sometimes we become so accustomed to these circumstances, we see them as acceptable, which can cause us such heartache. So it's one of those things where we've got to actually look and say, let's not do things to excess. Let's not do things with self-limiting beliefs, things that we blame outside forces for, where they're probably self-imposed. And don't let us direct it towards other people, because we need to take accountability. In this card, we can be seen to be holding back against ourselves and giving away our power. And it's just our negative habits that they give us different perspectives. And that's not always the right one, because we're attached to something of a superficial thing that might not benefit us. So we can feel like victims. That's really what this card means. And we feel trapped. And we feel that this particular sort of set of circumstances is hurtful. And remember that, if it's coming from someone else, this card is saying to you, they can only do it and abuse you, in whatever way it is, or use you when we give them the chance to use and abuse. So we've got to don't do it to yourself and don't let others do it to you. We can't blame them, because that means if we go, it's all about my circumstances and what can I do? Taking accountability, and that's what this is. It's like the weather forecast. Don't go out in the rain. Look, watch what's happening. I can't go out in the rain, but I need to have an umbrella and shield myself against the elements. The devil just indicates anything that's harmful or destructive. And just because we're reluctant to take control, we've got to look at that. And it often comes up in a reading when we feel that we've got no control. And it's where we're insecure, and where we're scared, and where we're doubtful. And it's just our narrow view and perspective that's going on here. And this attitude can imbalance the rest of and impact the rest of your lifestyle. Sometimes people will try and influence us, but you've got to go, oh, sorry, gosh, no thanks. Oh, but I have to. No, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm sorry, no thank you. Or thank you for the invite, but I'm afraid I'm otherwise engaged. So don't allow yourself to be in a form of bondage, which leads you to feeling stuck because of others, or because of your own rules and regulations, or feeling trapped or unable to make changes. We have to get rid of that limited option and take accountability. Really, this is a card of being enslaved by our practical things. We put ourselves there and go, oh, I'm not that cruel to myself. We all go, oh, but I have to. Oh, but I can't. Oh, but I must. Oh, but this. We all do that. And so if we actually go, I can change it. If you're in an awful position, and believe me, I have been in dreadful positions in my time in jobs too, the worst, really. When I was very younger, the absolute worst. And yes, it was exactly this. And my boss who was doing it was a Capricorn. But that's because I let her. That's because I lived in as their nanny, I was at home, and I let it happen. My friends would have gone and did say, why are you letting her do that? And I'd go, oh gosh, it's just easier. So there's an example. And why did I go through that? It's all about treading the boards of experience. Now I would say, absolutely not. No, I'm going. And there's nothing you can do to me. No. My fear was, oh, she'll give me a bad reference. Oh, she won't pay me. She did all of that. So it's already happened. So when it happens to you, just go, no reference to 3 years. You didn't pay me. It is what it is. These things happen. But there's a good example. Do not feel, oh, that person was the devil. It's, we allow ourselves, and we are humans, right? Any questions? Let me know that you're looking forward to exploring this card and how to read it with other cards so it makes sense. And as I keep saying now, fusing it with minor cards, it gives you 56 different meanings to each major card. So Tuesday, it's a combination tarot. I'm going to play this. Okay, this is something a little bit different. I've got Passionate Saji coming in a moment. Won't keep you waiting too long, Passionate Saji. But yeah, if you want some keywords, a worksheet, you can find it on the website. Keywords, professional keywords, not just, people call them cheat sheets. Yeah, it is tarot keywords. There you go. You had a little look at that. And that will give you some extra help if you want some keywords. All right, now I've got a real treat for you. We've got a guest come in. Hello, darling. How are you?
Hi, AnneMarie. I am good, thank you.
Good.
I thought I'd quickly come in today because this devil card is my bugbear. It's definitely my bugbear.
I can understand why, darling.
Tuesday is going to be absolutely brilliant for me. It's just obviously on a Tuesday I can't come in and discuss because of work, and I'm using to typing and listening in at the same time. If I get the chance to go on Messenger, then obviously I can listen in and type in and react to your show at the same time. But obviously it would have been lovely for Tuesday. For me, when this card comes up in a spread, I fumble. It's because there's so many areas of that darker side. And if I give an example, say I'm doing a relationship reading, and I look at the energy of the person who's asking the question, then I look at usually it's the partner, and the devil card comes up, and I cannot fathom what area we're looking at with this person. So for me, it's like Tuesday's episode will be brilliant in terms of using the cards so that you can recognize and pick up what energy is coming from this person, why it's coming. A lot of times I get like the quarrel say to me, oh, yes, they're addicted to your relationship. They've got an alcohol problem. And I know you said it's not always the case, but and straight away, once they've said it, I see it. But for me to just recognize it straight away, I fumble. And sometimes your spread will absolutely help as well, because from what I've picked up from doing the course I can see where in different areas what you're looking for, right? But what I do at the moment, the spreads I use, sometimes I use the last card as a theme. And it's the devil comes up as the theme. I'm thinking to myself, what is it? What am I looking at?
If
What
it
is the
comes up
problem?
where?
Tonight, the theme as the reading.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
straight away, when you've just got that devil card in front of you, for me, it's like, oh, what
It's not
area
enough.
is the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been doing the course. You started intermediate. Yep.
Yeah.
Work with your position. I beg you. Don't go on to the next one until you've really got that. Work with your position. That would be the first thing I'd say. Because then you can see who is this about. That's the most important. Always remember that it's always an aspect of the person having the reading as well. Never leave that bit out. Yeah? Because you know when they come in and they say, I'd like to look at X with my boss or my partner or whatever it is, like you said. But it's a two-way street because it's the person having the reading. We're seeing an aspect. Now, if that lands in their position, we can then see what the minor card's telling us, whether they're in emotional bondage to this person, whether they're allowing it, or whether they are all about, don't forget, didn't really mention it because I can only do so much on a live, but this is about status, reputation, ambition, okay? And that comes from the 10th house because Capricorn is in the 10th house and it's all about, it's sometimes this is, I want to be a rock star. I want to be it. In actual fact, just let me switch screens for a minute. I'm keeping you there. I was going to play this, but can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Can you see on the left the devil card? That's from the Enchanted Tarot deck. There's our Liberace driving, smoking a cigarette, holding his money with his champagne, going the wrong way down a one-way street.
Yeah.
So different cards will speak to us with different images, and there's a good one. So I really like that. And the middle card there was the light seers. It's an aspect of us.
Yeah.
And so person having the reading, it's part of them, but they may be the one that's going, oh, I'm not the devil, I'm the victim. The minor card will tell you. So you're really going to love that. So all I can do on my lives is the card, the pairs support you. The courses will give you the system, the blueprint, as you already know. So the most important thing that you really need to just look at is that this is about human practical desire. And a bit like, I'm not saying it's right, but I gave an example. You know, I felt complete victim in my job. How come my fellow nannies were having a fantastic time when I was 19? I think I was working with this lady. She was a Capricorn. Oh, she's so harsh on me. She said, it's not a letter. She probably thought, when are you going to stand up to me, AnneMarie? And I did one day. I just said, I'm leaving. Oh, you can't go? And so watch me. I did. But it takes a long time to be able, for some people, to get to that space. And it's not always today. So the minor card that comes in, it's just about something. I always say we're addicted. Sometimes we are addicted to our, I don't mind. Are you the person controlling? Or when I said about it being the 10th house, sometimes it's about, you know what? I'm a superstar. Sorry, I'm a rock star. I'm somebody here that's actually turning up to just use who I can. And sometimes, and I know that most of our readings on the lines or whatever, mind, body, and spirit places would be very different. i.e. events, because they are there to grow, and that would be much more of a spiritual sort of reading. But when people are phoning up, as in now, they're either looking at someone or something that's affecting them, perhaps a relationship, perhaps career, perhaps finances, perhaps I'm not getting the outcome I want. And the devil card will always come up, because in my spread I will put out the 22 major cards with 22 minor cards as a pair, so I can see what's going on in what areas. And so therefore, straight away in the position, if that comes up as in it's in their career, I know that what's going on here is actually, okay, they are in a place of bondage to their career, but they quite like it because they actually want to be the one. They want to be taking charge. It's their status, it's their destiny. And it's often a card of physical attraction. Also, this card, if you're reading it, quite often it'll come up and maybe you've got 2 of cups with that. It's not negative. It depends where it is, but let's say it's in the position of the other person. They fancy the pants off you. This person's got a real physical longing for you, and they want to express it because they're emotional. The 2 of cups, emotional. And so therefore, this can come across as the only way they express themselves could be, a term of endearment is to be physical. And the person might be thinking, why are you using me? I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the devil. I know it's a big one. Normally I'm a lot more serious, so I try to be a little quirky and a little bit fun, so that I know it frightens people, but no need. No need. It is a card that is really quite special, has many meanings. Okay. I'm back with you, so I hope that you will enjoy following me, and don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget the courses will help you far more than I can on YouTube. I can only do a little bit here for you. Oh, Passionate Subject's come back, so let's bring her in.
Sorry
Right.
about that, AnneMarie.
Oh,
My daughter
no.
was knocking the door. It is
Oh,
calling me at
no.
the same time.
You
Sorry
did the
about
right
that.
thing. Please don't. That's life. That's absolute life. It's like the dog was barking outside. There's 11 to keep quiet.
Yeah, just quickly open the door. No, not alive.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. This can be many things, but I would say, first of all, the position. That's the important part.
Mhm. Right.
Passionate
Right.
subject, look at the position. And the second, the very important part is, what's your minor card? If you've got some happy emotional cards, it's like they want to express their emotions physically. Yeah. If it comes
Yeah.
through, you've really not got to miss Tuesday, because I'm going to give some real interesting ones where you go, wow. And
Brilliant. Yeah, I feel that's going to help a lot.
Especially if it's the 5s. So listen out for the devil, and when I talk about the 5 of swords, cups, wands, pentacles. Very good. And,
Brilliant.
yeah, always think about the fact that the devil is also ambitious, status.
Yeah.
No disrespect to anybody. Think of somebody that's actually a big CEO. I'm not going to name any names. Anybody you want to think of. Devil? If you're silly enough to turn around and let me pay you nothing, well, I actually sit on a luxury yacht and do what I want to do. That's up to you. Don't force you. Oh, but I can't. I've got my mortgage to pay. Not my problem. So what are you? Are you the devil that's actually going, you know what? I worked hard to get where I am. It's easy to turn around and stand there and look at me. It can have so many meanings. In love readings, it can also just be as complex as that, where they're turning around and saying, you know what, there's no change. we're not committed here. But that would depend on the minor card. There's so much there.
Yeah.
It's a real exciting one. And people are always scared. And they always think the devil's someone else. It's an aspect of the person having the reading. It's an aspect of who they're asking about. If it lands in the position of the other person in spreads, which comes up in the courses, so that's in the position of the influences of others, you're looking at the other person 90% more than it's applying to this person. They are already feeling that they're a victim of this. That's probably what. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
that's brilliant. That helps a lot.
Lovely.
Quickly before we go, what you said
Absolutely.
about the other card, is it a minor arcana?
Yeah.
Is it the Ten of Swords? I quickly looked through all the
you have fun. No, song. I've got to play
No,
those.
you know
Shut
what I
up.
did? I quickly went through the whole of the pack and I thought,
You're right.
I can sing. And I
You're
saw
right.
it on the ten of
You're
Swords,
right.
yeah.
And so we're a blessing. And you see in this one, he's almost mocking it. Yeah. But that's because you're too stupid to realise. So therefore, you look at the cross, look at me mocking you. But it's not someone else, it's us. We do that. Oh, you stupid. You know where this happens more than anything? When we're actually overeating. When we're eating our words because we're hurting, because we're angry. I've seen it done it. Only got to show you videos of me 7 years ago.
My own self, I'm going through the
But we
struggles.
do. We eat our words. And so
Yeah.
that's where we're self-sabotaging. And that's where it's coming in. And it's not an addiction. We say it. Oh, I'm addicted. Diet Coke. I actually,
Yeah.
believe me, I had a perforated peptic ulcer that shot through my stomach like 2 bullets. I am lucky to be here. I was out of it for a week. Back in 1999, I think it was. And I survived it. And it's like, they said to me, coffee, cigarette, Diet Coke, and you taking painkillers on an empty stomach. What do you expect? And it's like, I'm addicted to it. And they went, carry on, you'll be dead.
Yeah.
You saved my life. And that is where I really went to town on trying to do it. But it was very hard for me because nothing, even now, satisfies my thirst. And that's due to my thyroid problem. But that just, we can, there you see, oh, I'm a victim of my thyroid.
Yeah.
Really and truly, my addiction was my own. I liked the taste. And the more I drank it, the more I actually was hooked. No one was pushing it down my throat. I did that. There's just a very simple way of actually looking at it. It's not always about the bogeyman around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's not a card to fear for me, but it's more, like I said, that
how to read it for other people. Definitely where it is in the position. Okay, if it comes up in their position, the position of the self, if it's coming up in the position of the self, it's usually because they're ambitious. Yeah, they're the ones that want to be in control of something. The second card to tell you what. They're talking about asking about someone else, and it's coming up in the position of the others. You could see the control that the other person's got on them by looking at the mana card.
Okay.
What a shame we can't actually see you on Tuesday because you've been the one to be leaping up and down. Oh.
Yeah. I know. This is
Oh.
why I said, let me jump on tonight and speak about it because I know Tuesday, obviously, if I can get to listen and ask quick questions, but actually to come on the live, it would be difficult. So, yeah. But anyway, another time.
No problem. We always love seeing you. Thank you very much.
And thank you.
I'm not at all. We're going to say bye-bye. So from myself and from Anne, we'll see you next time. And don't forget to subscribe and don't forget that you can come on as a guest like Anne. Thank you so much for your time. All the best, everybody. Bye.